I'm so pleased to welcome all of you to our event today. A special thanks to our speakers and our partner, Our Secure Future. Thank you, Sahana. As everyone knows, these past few months have been difficult for everyone, and I continue to pray for those who have suffered and are suffering. And I pray that we emerge stronger and more unified after this pandemic. One way I'm convinced the world is changing for the better is through the role women are playing in all aspects of life. We see this now more than ever. Women are the backbone of our societies, and they will lead us out of this current crisis and into the future. Today, we focus on the Sudanese women and the crucial role they played in bringing down a brutal dictator, Omar al-Bashir, and the important role they are playing in reshaping Sudan today. It's hard to believe it's only been a year, but so much has changed in Sudan, and much has been as the result of the hard work of women. The massive and prolonged street protests that eventually led to Bashir's removal were led by an estimated 70% of women, with many people calling it the Women's Revolution. Sudanese women still have an uphill battle. You cannot erase decades of fear and repression. However, women's voices have been heard, and Sudan was listening. The world is listening. Women will not go away quietly, and the current environment provides the best opportunity for increasing inclusiveness, improving security, and lasting peace. Again, I want to thank all of you for tuning in and joining the McCain Institute for this important discussion.
Women and youth played a really pivotal, if not the most significant role in bringing about the peaceful changes that led to the removal of Omar al-Bashir. That was a historic time, and I really think it would not have happened had women not been so out front and vocal. They were a significant voice in the direction, the tone, and the consistency of that movement. I'd say that we're very pleased with what we've seen so far from the civilian-led transitional government. It's been very encouraging to see how the government has really embraced human rights changes very early on in its administration. I think we have to give the government some credit for some of the roles that they have taken on religious freedom. They have very much moved in a very positive direction. Christians are able to openly worship. They have made an end to the morality police with respect to women's dress and appearance in public. And of course, their most recent announcement to end female genital mutilation.
In politics, the women having leadership roles and positions. We had a lot of gains, like we had women appointed in senior positions in the cabinet that they have never been women appointed in. We had like a guarantee for at least 40% of women in the Legislative Council. We had like the issue of women's rights is an issue of accountability, and the transitional government accountable for our rights, and it should be a big element of the change agenda of all the entities. Women's participation or women's rights is not the work of women's groups only. It should be like part of the national agenda.
I mean, if we look at the way that the change happened in Sudan, it was a moment using this mass mobilization and tools of strategic nonviolent action that allowed everybody to participate. But it strikes me that the success of this transition really hinges on being able to activate that same level of participation, right, from top to bottom of society, across vertically entirely, towards the goals of the transitional government. I think the great gift that Sudan has is that the population was mobilized at an unprecedented level. And so I think the challenge in front of all of us is, as partners, how can we support that continued mobilization? How can we encourage people at local levels to maintain that commitment to nonviolence?
In this case and other cases, national action plans are a tool to translate all these commitments that matter and all the proclamations that Huda, Susan, Ambassador James mentioned that are really important into actions that we know can make a difference. and therefore how do we deliver and translate all of these promises into reality of change for most people is really the key.
We want to recognize the work of the women on the ground and the civil society, government actors, everyone who's been involved in trying to create a more peaceful world for so many years, and the work continues in spite of the emergency that we are all facing with the pandemic.